Back for another week, Sean, of exciting sports betting action. Hopefully it's a pretty solid week. It was a good week. I was pretty happy with the Saturday night. I was doing some Del Mar handicapping and watching my soccer game in MLS. With about, 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go in the game. Columbus scored. I'm like, okay. So I'm 2-1. I lost to plus 195. And then Seattle scored a few minutes later, and I'm like, well, you never know. And then another couple minutes later, boom, Seattle scores again. Come home with a plus 195 underdog on the road in MLS. MLS soccer literally pays.
Yeah. And then I went 3-1 yesterday, so hopefully this is the week I turn it around big time.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to talk about this week. We got some NFL football tonight. We have a limited MLB baseball schedule, right? I mean, it's not all that packed.
No.
About 6 games, something like that?
Yeah, and one already, Texas and Boston's already playing.
So we're not going to obviously have anything there. And looking at the other games, it's pretty much, what a tough schedule tonight in terms of making picks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I found one that I like.
You found one that you like. Okay, well, we'll talk about that. Why don't we start with a little bit, I don't know, maybe it's a little too early about this, but we could start with a little bit of a golf recap since that tournament's just about to end, right? Their Northern Trust got delayed by a day because of bad weather. So they're playing right now. And if I look at the leaderboard, we had John Rahm as in the top 10. This is going to be the third week in a row, Sean, that we probably have the winner. Because with 9 holes to go, he has a 2-shot lead, and that's usually pretty good. I would imagine that he's not going to end up out of the top 10. He would have to give up like 6 strokes in the last 9 holes. So I think we can pretty much say that he's a likely shot to stay in the top 10. So that was plus 100. Keegan Bradley is another one of ours. Right now, he's tied for 6th. Oh, he's actually 6th all by himself with 4 holes left to play. So I think it's very likely that Keegan Bradley stays in the top 40 unless the wheels literally come off.
Yeah.
He withdraws or something because he injures himself. But so that was plus 160. So we're plus 260 right there. And then the next 2 guys, Kokrak, I did not know this when we were on the show on Friday that he actually missed the cut because we were at the very end. I think he kind of bogeyed or blew up at the end. So anyway, he missed the cut. So that's minus 100 there. So and then Harris English won't finish in the top 20. So that's minus 200. That's plus 260. So that's plus 60 right there. And then our guy, Adam Schneck, he scared the living daylights out of me at the end here, but he's going to finish, it looks like, tied for 27th. Well, right now he's tied for 32nd, but odds are he won't go backwards from here because there's not a whole lot of guys left that are behind him. So the worst he could probably drop is to 40, and we have him in the top 40 for plus 350. So if that holds out, then we'll be plus 410 for our soccer picks this week.
You mean golf picks?
Golf picks. Yeah. Soccer on the mind for that plus 195 exciting finish from the Seattle Sounders on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing pretty good on golf. So
let's see if we can do good on NFL preseason football. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, the unders have kind of changed. So I had it right yesterday with the 2 teams that were going to win one. They both didn't cover the spread, though, but they both won, and that's all I needed.
You just needed them to win, yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the NFL football. Tonight you have the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints. I feel like this game is probably, as far as the preseason games go, from what I've read, this game is going to be, at least for the first half, maybe a little bit longer than that from one team, as close to a real season game as you're going to get from both squads.
Saints have a lot of players that aren't playing now. They have their competition with the quarterbacks with Winston and Hill, but they'll have a lot of other people out. In Jacksonville, you got Trevor Lawrence, who, he didn't look all that great in the first week. They didn't really put a lot of points on the board. And then you got Gardner Minshew in the second half. So this is one the line's kind of, we got 39.5.
Well, from what I read, I don't know if this has changed since I read it because this story is not that old. Sean Payton says this is going to be the big preseason tune-up. He's going to make his decision on Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill based upon this game. He's going to give Jameis Winston every shot to earn the starting job by giving him a full complement at the offensive line. He's going to give him Alvin Kamara. The only guy that's probably not going to be in the mix that you won't see, but he won't be in the mix at the beginning of the year either, is Michael Thomas because of injury. And then, so I feel like the Saints are going to put out an offense, and I think you're going to see at least one quarter, maybe more, of Jameis Winston with a full roster of players to get a chance to show that he can be the starting quarterback in New Orleans to take over for Drew Brees. And looking just at the line itself, based upon the way I create lines, I create my own lines, it looks like the Saints should be a 5 to 6 point favorite. They're only a 4-point favorite.
Yeah, well, you're going to get Gardner Minshew in the second half. We'll see who all the Saints play. I don't feel like Kamara's going to play all that much, especially being injury prone like he is. And then also, I know there's a lot of linemen and stuff out, so you're not getting all the pieces around.
Well, Peyton says he's going to play them all. That's what he says. He says he's going to put him out there and give Jameis Winston a crack with the first team for at least, I think he said for at least 2-3 series.
Okay. Well, we'll see. You never know until the ball kicks off anyway. Some of these coaches, they say stuff, and then the player that they said is going to play a quarter didn't even suit up or didn't even come out. So I'm still looking at the total. I think under 39.5 is a good play here. Like I said, Trevor Lawrence still needs a lot to work on. Everybody crowned him like he was going to walk into the NFL and just take it by storm, and that's never the case. So,
except for Dan Marino.
Yeah.
He took this league by storm for sure. So when you look at so are you making an official play out of the?
Yeah. Since I got one baseball play, you got to play an NFL play here. I'm going to take the under 39.5.
Ooh, I disagree with you, Sean.
Well, the good thing for
I think this game's going to go over for a couple of reasons. One, I believe Sean Payton when he says that this matters because he wants to name his starting quarterback off of this game.
And I believe that, but it's the other pieces that, they're not going to have. That's going to be.
And then two, on the other side of the equation, Urban Meyer says that they need to win one. He doesn't care how they win one, but he needs they're going to play to win this game, which to me tells me that if they have to in the second half, because they've lost I don't know how many games in a row, a lot of games in a row, they want to get a win. Urban Meyer says he wants to get the mentality as winning mentality, and the way you get a winning mentality, he says, is by winning games, whether it's a preseason game, a real season game. He wants to win. And he says the other thing he says he wants to see out of his team is tempo. He wants up-tempo the entire game. I think that Jacksonville is going to do whatever it takes to win this game. And if they play up-tempo, especially in the second half against third and fourth-string players, I could see Jacksonville scoring 14 points, maybe 17 points in the final quarter, pushing that game well over, especially if the Saints come out and do what Sean Payton says and play their first-team starters for longer than anybody expects.
Well, I mean, if you want to make that an official play, the good news for you is every time I go under, those are the ones that seem to go over. So,
well, I am going to go, but I'm not going to make it a full official play because I don't really have a whole lot that I like today. In fact, even on baseball, I'm only going to do a half play. So I'm going to do 2 half plays that add up to 1 whole play. I'm going to take the totals. Let's see what the total is. What number I can get.
$15 a piece because you're still at the 30?
Yes. So I'm going to do $15 on the over, and I can get 39 and 39. Well, it looks like over is 39. Over is 40, under is 39.5. Is that right?
That's usually not right. No, it should be one or the other.
So we're just both take 39.5.
Okay.
So I got to go over 39.5. You got to go under 39. So you got to go 39. I got to go 40.
So I think this is our first one that we actually went completely opposite from each other.
Now we had one before.
Did we?
Mm-hmm. That's okay. That wraps up that. So let's go ahead and move up to what's up, Drew? Let's go ahead and move to baseball for today. Let's get the right one here. Let's go to betting odds. Just make sure we get the right brand up in here. I don't want to be accused of copying anybody else's show, which is kind of crazy, but sometimes that weirdo stuff happens. So Arizona and Pittsburgh, the 1-800 I need help game for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't do any. I mean, both teams are playing a little bit better than they were in the beginning of the year, but
Well, Pittsburgh's, I think, 3-7 in their last 10, and Arizona's 7-3 in their last 10. So kind of going in different directions, but Pittsburgh definitely has the run line advantage. They have I don't know if they have the power ranking advantage anymore. I think Arizona might have actually taken that from them. No, Pittsburgh owns both edges. It's a game that does favor Pittsburgh all across the board. But looking at the pitching matchup, Crow struggled and he struggled too. So it's tough for me to pick a side on this game.
Well, Mejia hasn't pitched all year yet. So
right, he pitched last year, but when he did pitch, he had an elevated ERA. He only pitched, I think, 3 games. But
I wasn't going anywhere here.
Tough for me to go anywhere here, too. Chicago White Sox and Toronto. You got Lance Lynn, one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. They're heading to Toronto. The White Sox have the power ranking advantage. They're the better road team at Lindo. The Toronto Blue Jays are home team, which at least in recent form. And then Toronto definitely has a sizable scoring advantage at home relative to what the White Sox put on the board. This is the quintessential 50-50 game. And the only team you can get a plus line is you get plus 100 with one shot with the White Sox. But you can also over here get plus 105 with Toronto. So if you want a side, you can get a plus line depending upon which side you want.
Yeah, I couldn't figure this one out. I probably leaned Toronto, but then I didn't want to go against Lance Lynn. And then I looked at the total, and the problem with the total is both of these offenses can be explosive, especially Toronto. So I didn't want to do under 9. So this was another one I had to pass. Yeah,
this game it's a 50-50 game for me. I probably give the slight edge to Toronto, even though Lance Lynn is pitching, because the White Sox have struggled against teams that have winning records. And they've not played as well on the road as they have at home, whereas Toronto's played a little bit better at home, although the White Sox have improved in that department recently. That's why their power ranking numbers have gone up. Really tough spot for me. Here's another game here, the Yankees and Atlanta. You can get a plus line with one house with the Yankees. Otherwise, this is a Vegas special where they're collecting on both sides.
Yeah, and both of these teams are really hot. So
they're both 9-1 in their last 10. Yeah,
they're both going. It's another one I couldn't figure out. Pitching matchups about the same. Both are hot. I mean, this is just a really good matchup, but doesn't favor the bettors, I don't think, because there's too many mixed signals on which team you want to take.
Well, I think most everything favors Atlanta in this spot. I think they do pretty well against left-handed pitching. I think they're 10 games above 500 against lefties. Yeah. But it's truly a 50-50 game. And if it's truly a 50-50 game, I'm going to want – well, first of all, I want the team I think is going to win. I think the team Atlanta is going to win. They have the advantages, or at least that's what the math tells me. So if it's a 50-50 game, I want the team I think is going to win and a plus line. I'm greedy. So the greed says stay away. I'm not going to be able to play this spot. But when you look at the play of the bettors in terms of this game, the Yankees and the Braves, the Yankees are taking in about 2/3 of the tickets. Those New York bettors are out there laying it hard on their Yankees, but 2/3 of the money is on Atlanta. So that really it's 50-50 if you put the two things together. I would lean Atlanta. The smart money is banging all over Atlanta. I'm just going to lean Atlanta.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, the Braves have actually struggled during interleague play. They're 6-12. The Yankees are 9-6.
But I think a lot of that might have been before they heated up here of late.
Yeah, it definitely could have been.
Colorado and the Chicago Cubs. Oh, my gosh. So Colorado, who had been playing very well at home, all of a sudden couldn't beat Arizona at home. And now you have the Cubs that can't beat anybody, not even, as I mentioned, their AAA team probably. Here they are in Chicago. It's I think the over-under is like 8, something like that. Is that about right? 8.5.
8.5.
And it's hot and humid in Chicago again. And I've said many, many times, when it's hot and it's humid, the ball tends to leave Wrigley Field in a hurry. I can't bet the Cubs to win because they stink. Colorado can't win on the road. I can't bet them to win. The only thing I would probably lean here to at all is over, because I think 8.5 runs for these two teams in Chicago on a hot summer muggy night, the wind blowing out towards the outfield. I think there's some home runs hitting this game, and they can get over 9, but I'm not a fan of the total.
My only concern about that would be Colorado's offense on the road's not that good, and you got the Cubs' best pitcher going in Hendricks, so that would concern me about the total.
But he does at times tend to give up runs early.
Yeah, and he has had a couple, yeah.
And the Cubs bullpen has just been
awful,
terrible since they got rid of all of their good bullpen pitching before the trade deadline. So if I can see the two pitchers leaving this game in a 3-3 tie, and then Colorado has, I think, the absolute worst bullpen. The Cubs have had one of the worst bullpens. I think this game can go over for sure, but I'm not going to bet it. I can't say for sure, but if I were going to bet in total, I would take the Cubs in the over here.
Yeah,
I wouldn't take the Cubs. I'd take the over.
Well, this is one I was leaning towards the Cubs, but I couldn't make that official, and I couldn't do it. But with Hendricks going in Colorado on the road, it does smell like a Cubs victory here.
Well, it does, and the money is 3/4 of the money is on the Cubs, and the tickets are closer to 60-40. So the smart money is on the Cubs here. I don't know. The Cubs have won 2 games in their last 15 or something like that. I don't know how you can back a team that's 2-13. I don't care who they're playing. This is not the same team that's generated all these stats that people are using in their algorithms. Kansas City and Houston is the only really crazy line of the night. It's a money line. It's also another one that's a minus run line. So I'm off this game altogether. Houston wins this game. Houston wins this game by a lot. They're kind of angry after they went down to Kansas City and struggled. So I think the Astros rebound in a big way. Their offense has been hot. The line just makes it impossible to play.
Yeah, and you can't trust Houston either. They lose to these teams in these lines, so I wouldn't touch it either way.
All right. Well, Sean, that leaves one game. By the way, the Astros are taking in about almost all of the money. So, I mean, there's few pennies that they're sprinkling on the Royals, but for the most part, the betting public is showering the Astros with money. Believe me, Vegas is fingers crossed, toes crossed. They're putting out whatever kind of vibes they can for Houston to lose. Seattle and Oakland. So that means you got to play here. So I wonder if we're going to be on the same side or we're going to be against each other twice in one night.
We might be against each other. I'm going Oakland here. Oakland does very good against lefties. They're 27-17, which is kind of odd because Oakland's got a bunch of lefties in the lineup, but some of their batters actually do better against lefties than they do righties. And Seattle's starting to scruffle here too. They're not as a road dog or as an underdog, as I said, they were doing really well. Now they're starting to lose those games. So I like Oakland here. I know Seattle has had a winning record against Oakland so far this year, and Gonzalez has pitched pretty good against them, but those were both in Seattle. They were not in Oakland. So I like Oakland to win tonight.
We are going to go against each other. So Oakland is, are they 3-7 in their last 10? So they haven't played all that well. If not, so the fact is Oakland, as bad as they have struggled to score, has the run line advantage on the Seattle Mariners. But Blackburn has gotten lit up more often than not by the Seattle offense. So I think Seattle's going to be very comfortable against Blackburn. Gonzalez, a lot of his ERA against the Oakland A's was early in his career. The last 2 years, he's been extraordinarily. He's been much, much, much better against this Oakland squad than he was early in his career. I think if there's an underdog that I like on the road tonight, it's a 50-50 game according to the way I analyze things. Maybe a slight favorite towards Oakland, but I can get plus 118 taking Seattle with the better pitcher by a long shot against a team that he's had a lot of success with, against the team that Seattle's had a lot of success with. I'm going to put my other 15 on Seattle, and maybe we'll go 1-1 tonight.
Yeah, maybe. Seattle's 1-6 in their last 7 games as a road underdog. And also Gonzalez, he's been pitching really, really well. 3 of those games, I believe, was against Texas, and the other one was against the Yankees. So he had Texas 3 out of the 4 games. And you always say about that bounce back, this may be the game to even that out a little bit.
Well, I think he's pitched very well against Oakland. So maybe he has I'm not talking about his recency form against other squads. I'm talking about his form against Oakland as is.
Know. But I did see Gonzalez has been pitching lights out his last 4 starts. And it's funny, like 3 of them are against Texas.
Well, that's going to make a big difference. Sure. I don't,
But he
I don't
did
dispute that, but I'm saying he has pitched very well against the A's. And looking at the money, the way the money breaks down, right now the A's are taking about almost 60 cents of the bets, but they're only taking about 53% of the money. So a little bit of the smart money is leaning my way on Seattle. Again, I'm not thoroughly confident in this spot because I'm only playing half a play on it, $15. So if I were fully confident on it, I would go ahead all in on Seattle. I'm not all in on Seattle, and I'm not all in on the over in the preseason game because it's preseason football. But this is a betting show. Those are the 2 closest things that I like to actually betting today. So that's why I'm on those. I feel like they're both good risks, and I have good reasons for taking both. I think they're good shots. The question is whether or not they go in.
What value did you get for Seattle? Plus 120 about?
Plus 118. It's the best line I could see.
And I got minus what?
Minus 119.
Okay.
So that wraps up the picks for today, Sean. Any other thoughts or observations from the weekend?
Well, I was excited. Zach Wilson looked really, really good. And then, of course, I see a video with his mom yesterday again getting attention. So somehow she's just got to stay out of it, and Zach Wilson will be a star in the league.
Does it matter if she stays out of it if he's a good quarterback?
Well, you know how that goes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Distractions and stuff like that. So
I can't imagine that NFL players' lives are not filled with distractions from the minute they're off the field to the minute they're back on the field.
Yeah.
I used to share an office with a guy who played in the NFL. He was the player to be named in a Chuck Foreman deal when he was traded from, I think, Minnesota to the New England Patriots. And he basically said that once you're off the field, that your life is one constant distraction. So I don't think that these guys don't have distractions, and mom's probably the least of his distractions. A young single guy in New York, I can imagine he has plenty of other things that are in his way, so to speak.
Yeah, but so I was excited about that. Hopefully, the Jets probably won't have a good year, but hopefully he puts a good season together.
Well, we'll find out. I think Tony Romo said he's the best thing to hit the NFL since Dan Marino. So, that's.
And Tony Romo, he's as an analyst, and he's been spot on. So,
but he said a very similar thing about the quarterback they just traded down to Carolina.
Yeah, well,
he said that he was going to have a breakout season in 2019. I think the only thing he broke out were the ghosts.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting too to see how Darnold does in Carolina. He should do okay.
Well, we'll see how he does in Carolina. Teddy Bridgewater did all right down there, so he should be able to do well. He's got a couple of teammates from the New York Jets that he played with down there, Robbie Anderson. So perhaps he will come in and do very well. He's got the most versatile running back in the game. That should help him a ton in Christian McCaffrey, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. That's why they play the game.
And next Saturday already we have some college football,
and we'll have some great picks there as well. All right, Sean and I will be back in 23 hours and 30 minutes. In the meantime, why don't you go down there, hit the subscribe button. We've been smoking hot. I think I'm up over 20% since we got started. Make sure you tell your friends about us on Twitter and Facebook. You can find us at Moneyline Madmen, both on Facebook and Twitter. Anything else, Sean?
Also the website. Go sign up for the website.
Yes. I forgot.
MoneylineMadmen.com.
Yes, and I will be spending some time on there tomorrow. I've been really busy with horse racing over at Horse Racing Radar. We had a really big weekend over at Del Mar, and we'll have another really big weekend this weekend at Saratoga with the Travers, another winning you're in race for. I don't think that one is, though, a Breeders' Cup race, but they have a few others on the Saratoga card. So we'll be covering that. Until we see you again, make sure you head over to our sponsor, Horse Racing Radar. Enter yourself into those contests. Win yourself some money so you can build your bankroll for Sean and I when we go ahead and hit the NFL week and this weekend with the college football. Till we meet again, may all of your bets, of course, be what, Sean?
Winners.